everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you who are joining us from wherever you may be. My name is Joanna and I'll be your host today. Thank you for being here with us at the SG Women in Tech webinar, themed Action for Impact, where we celebrate new collaborations amongst industry partners and share more on initiatives that companies can adopt to grow the women in tech community. October is also a special month for SG Women in Tech as we mark our 1-year anniversary. Today, we're honored to have Senior Minister of State for Communications and Information, Ms. Sim Ann, to join us today as the guest of honor to celebrate our progress over the past year. Without further ado, let's welcome Ms. Sim Ann for her opening address. SMS, over to you, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And let me start by congratulating the Singapore Women in Tech, or SGWIT movement, for a very impressive past year. Since IMDA and the tech industry launched the movement in October 2019, it has reached out to more than 100,000 people in the community. This would not have been possible without the strong partnership and contributions of the many companies, associations, community groups, as well as government agencies who are passionate about diversity. These organizations include Dell, Microsoft, SG Engineering, Google, Salesforce, BCG, PwC, SGInnovate, as well as the leadership of the Singapore Computer Society and SGTech. The achievements of the Singapore Women in Tech movement bode well for a strong and diverse infocom industry. Digitalization is key to a more resilient post-COVID-19 economy and society. Tech is more important than ever, and our economy and society in Singapore must be able to seize opportunities in this vibrant tech sector. Businesses are already deepening their digital capabilities to strengthen business continuity, raise productivity, and build longer-term resilience. The government will continue to support such efforts so that our businesses can reap the benefits of going digital and emerge stronger. Despite the current economic uncertainty, the ICT sector remains one of the relative bright spots in our economy. There remain opportunities in the ICT sector for both our businesses and Singaporeans looking to develop their careers in this sector. In this aspect, IMDA has been working with industry partners through the Tech Skills Accelerator, otherwise known as TESA, to nurture a pipeline of future tech talents for the digital economy. Through the TESA initiative, IMDA will scale up efforts to place another 5,500 Singaporeans in tech job functions like digital marketing, artificial intelligence, software and network engineering, cybersecurity, data analytics, to name a few, in the next 3 years. An example is IMDA's partnership with C, a consumer internet company founded in Singapore, where 500 Singaporeans will be hired and trained in areas such as product management, software engineering, and user experience design. We will support women who have aspirations and interest in tech careers. Today, the proportion of women in the ICM sector in Singapore is about 30%, and we hope that this will rise over time. In fact, various studies have found that companies with greater diversity are better at business. Many exciting tech jobs continue to be created, including programmers, UI/UX specialists, data scientists, digital marketing specialists, or cybersecurity experts. For example, DBS has been hiring many Singaporeans for tech roles, with special efforts to reach out to women. They saw the proportion of applications from women for their annual hackathon increase from 5% to over 30%. In addition, this year they have curated a virtual career fair for women technologists. With increasing demand for tech professionals expected in the next few years, we want to inspire and encourage more girls and women to pursue careers in tech. The study that BCG will be launching today on boosting women in technology in Southeast Asia comes at an opportune time as we discuss what each of us can do to further bring more women into the tech sector. Based on the study, 80 to 90% of women said that they have personally benefited from gender diversity programs where they're available, and more than a third of the respondents shared that their companies have no such initiatives in place. This is a clear opportunity for companies to do more. I think there are 3 areas that are particularly meaningful. First, role models. The inaugural Singapore 100 Women in Tech list was launched in collaboration with SES and MediaCorp to recognize 100 women who significantly contributed to our tech sector. One of the personalities featured is Ms. Jamie Neo, Director of Engineering at HP Inc. Starting out as the only female engineer at HP's wafer fabrication plant almost 30 years ago, Ms. Neo is a strong advocate for empowering more women leaders and actively creates opportunities for female employees and young leaders through mentoring and working with local universities. Ms. Neo is among the many trailblazers who show that there are multiple ways to succeed in tech. I hope that we will be able to feature even more women talents in future editions. Second, mentors and learning and development opportunities. These can range from bridging programs, industry internships at the tertiary level, to career coaching programs for individuals interested in a tech career. The Mentor Connect program is Singapore's first cross-company mentorship program dedicated to diversity and inclusion in the tech workforce. It started as a pilot between Dell Technologies, IMDA, Salesforce, and ST Engineering with 48 women mentees and 8 mentors. This program has benefited aspiring women in the industry. One example is Ms. Tracy Teo from ST Engineering, who shared that the topics covered were relevant to her as a manager aspiring to be a business leader. The personal stories shared by her mentor brought lessons to life in a real-life context. I'm glad that Dell will be expanding the Mentor Connect program to more companies. To the companies and mentors, thank you for stepping up to guide younger women in the tech workforce. Your willingness to share your experiences will make a big difference in nurturing future leaders. Third, leadership from the top. It is important for CEOs to be clear about why diversity is important for them and what their company is going to do about it. BCG's study provides helpful recommendations for companies looking for a structured guide on taking action for women in tech. We look forward to hearing from DBS, Microsoft, ST Engineering, and Autodesk at today's webinar on their efforts in growing and attracting the next generation of women talent. The strong support from organizations such as the Singapore Computer Society, SGInnovate, and SGTech has also been the key to the success of SG Women in Tech. Together, we can amplify our collective impact and make Singapore one of the best and one of the most supportive tech environments in the world. We're just at the start of the SG Women in Tech movement. My congratulations to everyone who has been part of this journey. Let's work towards the day when women are so well represented in tech that such a movement is no longer necessary. Until then, we have much to do, and what promises to be an exciting journey together is something we can all look forward to. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a very insightful and enjoyable webinar.
Thank you, SMS, for the very encouraging words. It has been indeed a fruitful year for SG Women in Tech, and we are glad that amidst COVID-19, enthusiasm from industry has been going strong. Now, let us recap the highlights of the past year with a short video. Please enjoy.
What I really see in our SG Women in Tech is that common passion for technology, be it building new algorithms or new businesses. I think what they do exemplifies the kind of diverse sector that we're trying to build.
Building this community of Singapore women in tech has been one of the most exciting and fulfilling journeys over the past year. We are very, very happy to partner with many passionate individuals and committed companies who believe in the value of diversity, who want to bring more girls and women to find meaningful careers in the tech sector, and to create a supportive environment in Singapore.
I learned that coding is actually exciting. I feel like her enthusiasm really rubbed off on me.
The session was really interesting and it was really nice to get to know her better.
I don't get to meet people from other industry, especially as a student now, so I will take this opportunity as like one of the rare chances I get.
SG100 Women in Tech is a great initiative to celebrate the success, achievement and contributions of women in technology sector. I'm certainly very honored to be one of the 100 along with other 99 amazing women.
What's truly exciting about a career in tech is that everything we do makes the world a better place because it's creating value, it's creating capabilities that makes life easier and that makes experiences much better for all of us in society. Congratulations on this amazing first anniversary milestone and more power to the second year.
You know, it's such a wonderful experience being in this Mentor Connect program because you look at the energy and passion that comes through and you find that we learn from each other just like iron sharpens iron.
Being part of the Mentor Connect program has taught me to open up and network more. One of the sessions that really resonated with me was learning about the different styles of leadership and learning that not one size fits all. What's good for me may not necessarily be good for you. That really resonated.
We hope that you have enjoyed the video and would like to thank all the partners who have supported us in the making of this video. Next, we'd like to invite Ms. Michelle Saw from Dell Technologies and Ms. Jacqui Miranda from Microsoft for an industry sharing on the initiatives that their respective companies have rolled out to grow the women in tech community. Michelle, over to you, please.
Good afternoon to Senior Minister of State, Ms. Siman, Jane Lim, Howie from IMDA, and the fellow participants this afternoon. On behalf of Dell Technologies, I would like to thank SG Women in Tech for the invitation to join in celebrating SG Women in Tech first anniversary and to share our best practices. At Dell Technologies, as one of the largest global technology provider, we have a unique role to play in transforming the future and driving human progress. And we are well positioned to do so. Our ability to drive social impact is also what builds our future workforce. Knowing the importance of social impact and the power of technology, we are constantly asking ourselves the question, how can we, along with our customers, partners, and suppliers, have a profound positive impact on society and the planet? How can we make the next 10 years so much better? To help to answer that question, Dell Technologies announced Progress Make Real, a comprehensive plan for how we will have the greatest impact by 2030. Progress Make Real is both pragmatic and visionary. To reach our 2030 vision, we spent the last 1.5 years establishing goals to ensure our progress is measurable and time-bound. We work with teams across the company, as well as outside the organization and customer, to determine which goals we needed to put in place to really move the needle on key global issues. Our entire executive leadership team, including Michael Dell, was personally invested in the development of this goal and absolutely committed to focus our resources on achieving them. Progress Made Real is focused on areas we feel are critical to creating a positive social impact, advancing sustainability, cultivating inclusion, and transforming lives by addressing society's most pressing issues. Underlying each of these, of course, is our commitment to ethics and data privacy. We also introduce moonshot goals in every area, a call to action for team members, partners, and customers to come together to achieve what we set out for. Today, I will share our moonshot goals on cultivating inclusion, some of our key initiatives that put us on a path to achieve those goals. There is no doubt in our mind that diversity and inclusion is a business imperative. We know our customer base is increasingly diverse, and that diverse perspective drives more innovation. To ensure we have a diverse talent in our workforce, in our talent pipelines, and an inclusive culture, we are hyper-focused on building and attracting the future workforce, developing and retaining an empowered workforce, and scaling out initiatives for maximum impact at Dell Technologies and in society overall. Real inclusion happens on purpose. We are adding a level of transparency and more data-driven decision. As we like to say, what's get measured gets done. Our 2030 moonshot goals is that 50% of our global workforce and 40% of our global people leaders will be women. We believe diversity across our leadership team increase our ability to be innovative and ensure companies' decisions reflect a wide array of perspectives. As what I have said just now, what get measured, get done. So we have a baseline that today, our baseline is 31% of our global workforce are women, 24% of our global people leaders are women. So our aim intent in our 2030, we want to achieve 50% of our global workforce is women and 40% of global people leaders will be women. So it's important we have a baseline, and from the baseline, we are going to track and make sure that we achieve the goals by 2030. We can't ignore the facts there is a looming talent shortage in the tech industry, and we need to identify and reach exceptional talents. By 2030, there will be potential global tech labor shortage of 4.3 million. If we don't broaden our talent pool, we will not have the workforce to continue to grow and innovate. It is these facts that drive home the business imperative of D&I. So what can we do about the talent shortage? One promising answer that we have is Project Immersion. This was kicked off in January 2019, serving more than over 100 STEM students at a few universities and colleges in the US. Together with the school, we developed the curriculum. We offer sessions on cybersecurity, supply chain, design thinking, and other topics. These are the skills we want graduates to have. We are looking to external programs. We are looking to extend this program to Asia University, and we are exploring how to offer these programs online so it can scale quickly and globally. We are also having programs to support women, which is out of workforce, to come back to workforce. Programs like this not only build our talent pipeline, but also build our brand as a place where women and underrepresented minorities see themselves choosing to build a career. MARC, which stands for Many Advocating Real Change, is our program focused on combating unconscious bias and creating an inclusive leadership. MARC is another crucial component to our strategy for developing and retaining talent. Right now, 96% of our executives have participated in MARC training, along with thousands of our team members. Our goal is by next year, we want the whole organization to complete the MARC training. We have put in place a variety of initiatives to ensure our current team members feel valued and included. A key to fostering an inclusive environment and retaining talents are our Employee Resource Group, or we call it ERG. Our ERG have more than 40,000 members across the globe. ERG are groups within Dell where team members with common interests or background bring their collective voices together to drive business impact and creating environment for team members to be part of the Dell family. Last year, Women in Action ERG launched a group mentoring program, Mentor Connect, in collaboration with IMDA, ST Engineering, and Salesforce. This is a one-year program. The team just completed the program last month. Overall feedback is very positive, right? And with the success that we are getting, right, in conjunction with SG Women in Tech 1 year anniversary today, we are also launching our Mentor Connect second cohort. In addition to the 3 companies in the first cohort who wishes to continue with us, we have 4 new companies coming on board. There's Aon, BHP, DBS, and VMware. The most important things we are asking of our customers and our partners is to continue to join us to make our progress real. Partnering with SG Women in Tech is one of the key initiatives in Singapore to making our progress real here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Next, we have Ms. Jacqui Miranda from Microsoft. Hi, Jacqui, over to you, please.
Hi. Sure. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we are able to hear you clearly.
Perfect. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here, and thank you to the organizers for inviting us. Sorry, just want to make sure that we view this. Okay. Good afternoon, Senior Minister, State Ms. Iman, fellow peers in the industry, attendees joining virtually, advocates, friends of the cause. Again, thank you once again to the organizers and partners for the opportunity for myself and Microsoft to be here. I have the privilege to share a little bit how we approach diversity, inclusion, and you will see allyship on the slide at Microsoft Asia Pacific. And while we certainly don't have all the answers, but through listening and learning with our employees and teams, we have broadened the definition to actually include allyship, where we're looking to really create an environment that allows everyone the space to be their authentic selves in a way that contributes to our culture and upholds our values. At Microsoft, our mission empowers every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, and it really can only be fulfilled when everyone feels included. We have various employee resource groups, a lot like Dell, ERGs, across our countries, including in Singapore, with a focus on accessibility at Microsoft. Definitely women at Microsoft as well, but also supported by a new initiative, Allyship at Microsoft, which really forms the foundation of how we actively demonstrate behavior and language as part of our culture to be an ally to all, not just to some. We work on deliberate allyship, which is an informed, consistent, empathetic practice to uphold the inclusion of the culture of inclusion across all, for sure women, but also a view into ethnicity, religion, persons with disabilities, for those earlier in career, those a little later in the career, if you're an introvert or an extrovert, for those whom English may not be their first language. All our diversity and inclusion allyship activities are underpinned by 4 goals. And it's really actively, even as Dell said earlier on, important that we measure because that's what gets done. And it's transforming our culture internally, empowering our people to action, including recruiting and hiring our pipeline and making sure that's part of the practice, and also to delight our customers and partners externally. Some of the activities in making this real, we're through a myriad of both bottoms up, grassroots, as well as top-down programs, from gamification and online learning videos to around allyship, where people have a safe environment to discuss how they can really show up as being themselves, to dedicated learning and volunteer days for employees to sign up for their passion projects, to hackathons as well, supporting artificial intelligence for good, or AI for good, in helping our ecosystem partners develop assistive technologies to help persons with disabilities. And of course, helping with gender equity, including women coming back and progressing in the workplace, especially in this new normal in these challenging times. All of these culminates into a shared diversity, inclusion, and allyship core priority accountability, which we have for every employee and every manager, and it's measured. And it's an important part of what we look at our yearly employee poll. As a matter of fact, at our last 2019 Microsoft employee poll, the inclusion index, we had 88% of our employees who responded to the survey believe in a positive way that Microsoft was committed and actioning inclusion in the workplace. In summary, I want to leave you with some visuals. Actually, it's from our Singapore team. This video is publicly available about what activating allyship and greater inclusion in the workplace means. From those with families and those who might be single, those who are, like I mentioned earlier in career and later in career, backgrounds from various ethnicities, and those who are introverted and those who are extroverted. And just making sure that we are supporting everyone in this workplace. You can find this video on YouTube for those who are interested. Just look it up, Activating Allyship in the Workplace. And that's important for us to make sure that we're representing all. In conclusion, I want to thank everybody in the organizers for inviting myself and Microsoft to be here to share a bit about our journey for diversity, inclusion, and allyship. Back to you, Joanna.
Thank you, Jacqui and Michelle, both of you, for the very insightful sharing. We're very happy to hear about the cross-company collaborations going on and how companies, are extending their Women in Tech initiatives beyond their organization to benefit the industry as a whole. So we're also happy to share that SG Women in Tech has partnered with BCG on a study titled Boosting Women in Tech in Southeast Asia. The study will provide insights on women in tech in the region and recommendations that companies can take to grow their communities. Without further ado, let's welcome Ms. Vaishali Rastogi, Managing Director and Senior Partner of BCG, to share more about the study. Hi, Vaishali.
Hi, Joanne.
Okay, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for joining us today. We have some pretty good insights as well as actions that we'd like to share with all of you today, and thank you for sparing the time. Before I get started, give me just 10 seconds to switch on my slides, and then we can start. I'd also love to get some questions, so if you can put them in the chat, would really appreciate it. It could be your experience, it could be what works, what doesn't, truly welcome it. So let's get started. BCG is delighted to share with you the findings from our new report called Boosting Women in Technology in Southeast Asia. Now, this was an idea that came around in many discussions with IMDA and SG Women in Tech. And we realized that while there were many statistics, many findings, there was nothing really that went deep into women in technology in Southeast Asia. Even BCG has looked at diversity as a topic in Southeast Asia, but never in technology specifically. So we said, why not seize this opportunity, see the lay of the land, and let's see, how can we move from awareness, but also to action. So before I start, it's been a tough year with the pandemic for sure. But the one thing that the pandemic has done is it's clearly underlined and accelerated the role of technology. Technology is radically shifting and disrupting businesses and industries. Consumers are changing their behaviors. And I think companies have an absolute imperative to respond even more rapidly than they have done so in the past. And tech talent is crucial in this journey. The demand is growing, supply is short, there are many vacancies, and it's only going to get even more worse. And so we have two forces that are coming together: the critical shortage of technology talent, as well as secondly, the clear gains that you see, be it in financial outcomes, innovation outcomes that companies see when they bring women and diversity on board. And when you combine these two forces, it makes such a powerful case for boosting women in technology. So with that, just a bit about the study we did. We did a quantitative survey covering close to 1,600 respondents in Southeast Asia. We also did a lot of in-depths with senior women to see what's worked and what doesn't, and what would they give as advice to others starting out in their career. So with that, just a few findings to get us started. The first is, the good news is that there are definitely encouraging signs in this part of the world. And I guess it hopefully doesn't come as a surprise to you that Southeast Asia does lead the pack. It leads the pack when it comes to women in the overall in the workforce, but especially if you also look at tech, as well as women in tech in higher education. So the left panel talks about women in tech as well as overall, and you can see Southeast Asia there in terms of higher education. And on the right side, you see the women share in the workforce. And you can see that Southeast Asia is actually ahead than several of the global averages, including actually some of the other Western economies where this has been a movement for some time in the past. So that's in my mind highly encouraging. But there is a lot of work that remains. I think we've started a journey, and it is indeed a journey. So now this is a complicated slide, but maybe if I just pick a couple of parameters. You see all the countries here. You see university graduates, and then all the way in the funnel, workforce, senior management, and CEO and board level positions. The first thing that stands out, no matter which country you look at, is that there is leakage everywhere. We start off with, across the board, be it women in terms of university graduates or technology graduates, the numbers are fairly significant. But as we go further and we reach CEO and board level, the numbers drop to somewhere around the 15% range. And so this is something that we need to continue to manage. There is a silver lining, which is that at least in markets like Singapore, you see that while the numbers in terms of technology graduates is, say, for example, is 29%, actually the ones that enter the workforce is higher, because we are technology industries, as well as technology positions in non-technology companies, are attracting people from other sectors, which is fantastic. And we need to continue to do more of it. And then, of course, it is about making sure that we retain the women through every step of the funnel. I think the most important insights in this report is contained really around what we call moments of truth. And that's the angle we took for our research. We identified 3 key moments of truth for women pursuing long-term careers in technology. The first is what I call the start of the funnel, which is higher education and the percentage of women pursuing technology-related fields in higher education. The second is, what do they choose as their entry-level job? And then, of course, do they make technology a long-term career? And we really need to understand very deeply what drives motivations to choose and stay at each of these paths. And what are some of the demotivations as well that cause leakages along these ways? And how different parties can really come together to address these moments of truth. So the first point is really the first step in the funnel, which is what we call higher education in technology. Now, the good news is that in Southeast Asia, education is so important. It is seen as really a stepping stone to social mobility, to success in life. And so given this context, we should be really underlining the role that we can play in terms of exposing women to technology as they pursue higher education, making them aware of their choices, increasing their participation in higher education and technology is absolutely pivotal. In fact, when we interviewed a lot of women, one of the reasons we found is that there was a lack of familiarity around what are the career options in technology. And there was a perception that technology was very, very narrow and that it was very difficult. And really the broad spaces that technology today represents were not actually clear as women made their choices on whether they pursued technology, in terms of their higher education degree. So really exposing them and making them aware to really drive that personal interest is, in my mind, absolutely critical in the first step of the funnel. And broadening this, the proportion that goes through this funnel will make a step change in increasing the proportion of women in tech and really aiming towards true gender parity. Maybe if we move to the next moment of truth, which is really first job in tech. So here the question is, if you did you choose a first job in technology or not? And we found that obviously, if your education field is in technology, that was clearly a motivator. But sometimes, even if it was the case, people did not choose it because of the same perceived difficulty of the career path and the fact that there was just this myth that it would be a tough career to pursue. And I think really busting these myths and really continuing to inculcate that interest is, again, absolutely key in the second moment of truth. And we have some of our next panelists who will also talk about this, on how do you nurture this interest going forward. And then the last part, which is how do you retain women in technology as a career? And again, you see that, of course, there are what I call, metrics that people look anyway, like compensation, work life. But I think the other bit that we should just be cognizant about is just in terms of what women sometimes may perceive, which is lack of advancement opportunities, and really seeing enough role models in the space. And that again is something that is a clear area for intervention as we go forward. So now that we know what influences women in different stages, in each moment of truth, we can now have a very targeted set of actions as well to make sure that we really create significant impact through our actions. What we've done is that for each moment of truth, we have bucketed our actions into two interventions. The first is what we call proven measures. So proven measures are really things that, are widely available, people have tried it, and, hopefully these should be table stakes really. And then there are hidden gems where, maybe they're not as widely available in the region, but they are perceived to be very effective by the women we talk to and surveyed. So I won't go through the whole list. I think you can see this. But if I just go through, a few. Proven measures, I talked about awareness of technology as women pursue their higher education and exposing them to technology careers is absolutely, in my mind, one of the critical proven measures. Career counseling is another, that fits that bill. The second bit in terms of hidden gems, and I really want to underline this, is what I call the pressing need for commitment. When institutions really make a public commitment to women in technology, it goes a really long way. It makes a real difference because then, women do see the seriousness that institutions have to really, bring women on board, retain them, and really make this career something that is sustainable and fulfilling. Of course, there are other interventions which you could say apply across the board, not just in technology. Structural workplace interventions that women need at different life stages. But the other one that I would like to point out that I'm personally very passionate about is really formal sponsorship of women and really having role models. Because if you do have role models, it really creates a multiplier effect. it gives women the confidence to see that, there is a pathway to the top. And so, for me, that's another part that I see as very crucial. Of course, we do need to continue to work on some of, having at least some basic interventions in place. Senior Minister Ms. Seman did call out, for example, that 1/3 of companies do not even have any diversity initiatives in place. So for those, at least getting some of that in place is a first step. And then moving, of course, to a few proven measures and hidden gems is the next step. Maybe the last point I'd say is, this is not about companies or just the women or about, society and governments and schools. This is really, in my mind, a multi-stakeholder effort. All three parties really need to come together. Isolated initiatives will not work. And, when all three parties come together with these sets of initiatives, I think it will have a huge multiplier effect. In that sense, if I just sum up, gender diversity is that rare issue where I think, we would have a real win for everybody. For technology companies, that means more talent. For women, it means more opportunities in a very fast-growing and interesting workplace of tech. And really, for countries, diverse workforces will lead to far more vibrant economies and faster growth. So it's really a win on all fronts when all three parties come together to make a difference. I hope that through some of these findings, we can inspire all three stakeholders to do something and to move from awareness to action. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishali, for the sharing. We have time for a couple of questions. So one of them is, what do you believe is the most critical intervention to increase women representation in tech across the region?
Thanks, Joanna. I'd say there are two. I'll pick two. I think one is at the start of the funnel. If we really want to be serious, we have to broaden the funnel, which means attracting more women in doing their higher education in technology. So that would be my first one. And the second one would be for institutions to make some commitment to having gender diversity, be it both technology companies, but also non-technology companies to have it in their technology positions. So I would say those two to me would be my top. And obviously, if I had to slip in one, it would be role modeling and sponsorship that Senior Minister as well mentioned.
Thanks, Vaishali. Okay, the next question. Did you measure the number of women who are willing to take a risk and those who are risk adverse? For example, men will apply for a job when they have about 50% of the skills and experience, while most women will wait until they have all of the skills and experience. So this risk adversity is a major barrier if women allow it to be. So what are your thoughts on that?
So Joanna, that's a great point. I don't have the statistics around that, but in the interviews we did, we found two facts. One is, I would say, a responsibility for women. The other is, I would say, a responsibility for institutions. So for women, I think you need to be bolder and know that and back yourself to learn these skills. Now, of course, if it's a very, very technical skill, that's hard. But there are many, many skills in technology and digital that can be learned as well without having, years and years of educational background. And so back yourself, I guess, is the first point. And then I think it's the responsibility for institutions as well. For example, how you write your job descriptions, but also how you construct your panels. For example, we at BCG insist on having women in any slate that we interview at any level. And that makes a huge difference because suddenly the recruiters are forced to present more diverse slates, and that's very helpful.
Thank you, Vaishali. So we believe that this report is very helpful to companies and women talents themselves in charting their way forward in the tech industry. So thank you very much, Vaishali, for the very insightful sharing. So now let's hear from the industry firsthand on their thoughts on the study findings and recommendations for the study. So on our panel today, we have Mr. Michael Tan, Managing Director and Partner, BCG, Ms. Serene Xia, Managing Director for ASEAN Autodesk, Dr. Pan Yao Zhang, Head of Data Science, Shopee, and Ms. Stephanie Hung, Senior Vice President, ST Engineering. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon.
Great. Thank you, Joanna, for your very kind introduction. And it's great to be part of this exciting platform today, to hear from the exciting speakers that we've had, and also to be a moderator for the panel of very senior women in tech that we have gathered here today. And what I'd like to do is, over the course of the next 20 minutes, we'd like to pose some questions to our panel and also invite participants to put your questions into the Q&A box, and we'll have a chance to tee up some of the questions for the panel as well. So let us get started on the panel. So our three panelists are coming from three very different sectors and backgrounds. So we have a software company, we have a digital native, and an engineering company that originally started with very deep roots in defense. And we see that women can be successful across all of these arenas. And some of our panelists have also been interviewed as part of the research that we had done for the report. And what we'd like to do today is maybe just start with a first question that also came from the audience just now, but I felt would be important to hear the views of the panelists, which is, from the research, we've seen that action is needed across the women's life moments and these moments of truths. In your mind, what are the most critical interventions to drive to higher women representation in the tech sector across Singapore? And perhaps let me invite Serene to kick us off. Serene, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Serene from Autodesk. Thank you, organizers, for having me. Great pleasure to meet so many amazing women in this forum and get connected with all of you here. I see the last count, we are over 300 participants. I love the energy, the online chat messages that I saw. I love it. And also great insights from all the presenters, especially Vaishali, the BCG, give me a lot of good insight from there. And we know technology continues to transform the global talent marketplace with the rise of automation and the shrinking shelf life of skills. To successfully manage these changes, there needs to be a more concerted efforts, both from employers and employees. So for employees, there's a need for us to constantly learning and acquiring the new skill for the changing business landscape. For employers, they need to help employees to identify skills for the future and how they can future-proof the skills and jobs. In my view, one of the critical institutional barriers and practices that related to recruiting process that needs to be addressed if we want to drive higher women representations in the tech sector. When it comes to referrals and recommendations, people tend to recommend others much like themselves. These biases are difficult to recognize because they are embedded into the normal operation of recruiting and appear to be just the way it is. When it left unchecked, however, they cause hiring manager to miss out hiring many highly qualified candidates. So I love this interesting personal exercise conducted by Rick Kao in 2015. He's a senior operating partner at Google's Ventures, 13 plus years Google veteran in Google Ventures, blogger, YouTube. He found that one of the just over 1,900 contacts that he has in his primary address book, 1,900, 399 are women. And the year before, when people he followed on Twitter were 79.7% men. So when you look at this, at his primary address book, it is 79.9% men. Imagine this. If the majority of leaders at most companies are men, and if the majority of their networks are men, and this is a self-perpetuating problem. It really is who you know, and who he knows is 80% men. So he called this as my unconsciously biased address book, the 20% problem. So for leaders out there, both men and women, maybe good exercise for you to do after this event to look at what the data says about your networks. Once you know your own ratio, I think you will be motivated as Rick was to make it better. Over to you, Michael.
Irene, thanks for great insight into embedded biases that many of us would have and may not even be aware of it. Maybe I can invite some comments from Dr. Pan. What do you think are some of these more critical interventions to help women establish themselves in technology sector?
Okay, I think it is a crucial. Just like Serene just mentioned, we need to proactively to intervene on the hiring process, the interview process, even the sourcing channel, because we understand there are for sure some nature bias. Yeah, as we always, my background is from AI research, machine learning, so we have a deep belief that a good prediction comes from good data. So if our data is already biased, like just Serene mentioned, right? So in your network, 70–80% is male, then how can you fairly evaluate the values of different gender? So unbiased data, this impact needs to be very consciously considered in the organization, and it's in overall, it's very crucial that company intentionally set inclusive policy, and this may not only apply to the sourcing, talent sourcing, hiring process, but also in the organization's everyday work environment. Allow their female employees to feel valued in their workplace. This can include benefit and spaces for working mothers to accommodating their maternity duties. I'm quite proud to say that Shopee embraces inclusive and diversity at policy level. That's to say, we walk the talk. For example, we have formed the Working Mother group, where participants from all levels within the organizations gathering together regularly to discuss new policy for working mother. This including issues like flexible working hour, remote meeting. Yeah, this becomes more important in current COVID-19 situation. Yeah, but we applied this years ago to cultivate. And also the second important thing, we need to keep cultivating interest and keep our female employees in all the levels with the interest and the skill set, the right skill relevant to our technology for e-commerce. And we actually are proactively engaged a variety of tech community, including women through a series of initiatives such as the National Data Science Challenge and the Basic Coder Challenge and the Shopee Code League to encourage people with different generation, different gender, and different age to participate. And over the course of history, some other memorable initiatives have also included Girls in Tech, Coding Girls, Tech Lead, She Love Data. This is all the event that we organize, especially for women in tech. So hope in this way we can encourage more girls and young women to join the tech industry world. And also, most importantly, to trust that they are the good fit for tech world. And also, we try to cultivate more female leadership role within the company and also outside the company.
That's great. Thanks, Dr. Pan. I think very practical advice, especially that I like to point around how to help working mothers, in the workplace. Let me turn to Stephanie. And Stephanie, you are a senior woman leader in an industry that is traditionally seen as much more male dominated. Just wanted to maybe deepen the question a little bit to ask you, do you think there are some challenges that are more specific to the sector that you're operating in? And what do you think you can do differently in some of these more perceived male sectors to drive women participation and success?
Okay, thank you, Michael. Yes, I think defense and engineering sector traditionally is a very male-dominated, and the women representation is relatively lower than the industry's benchmark. So we actually have more women representation in the corporate function than the business sector. In fact, I think one of the key factors, we always think that it is actually the confidence and the early intervention. When I say early intervention is that a lot of time we actually have to start as early as a young age in building women's confidence. Especially in Asian country, there are a lot of inherited stereotypes of what women should be doing. And girls at a young age require actually more encouragement by the parents, especially the father, to excel in the field that they choose to pursue. So I was fortunate that I have a very encouraging father that would say, I can do anything if I choose to. That actually built up the confidence throughout the entire career that I can do when I choose what to pursue. So we need to be able to work with the education sector and, to look at the girls can cook, they can do computer programming as well. They can do math, they can learn biology, chemistry, and physics in science discipline. And second thing, I think, just now, I think Serene and also Dr. Pang mentioned is that throughout your entire career journey, from job advertisement to recruitment to the hiring and even the workplace experience, is actually a lot of moving parts. And all these actually have a different impact and interplay across the various touch points. I think this is actually one of the PCG's, the moment of truth. So how do we actually design the whole experience with empathy? Understanding the different persona of the women, whether they are in different kind of life stage, and be able to actually align with some of these key moment of truth, and how do we actually empower and enable them to do the right decision for making their choices. So I think those are the things that I believe is a quite important intervention to actually increase the women representations.
Thanks, Stephanie. Very insightful. I'm looking at some of the questions that we see in the Q&A box, and I think there's a lot of interest in understanding your role as role models, right? As senior women in diverse sectors, as a role model, what are the things that you are doing to make the most of your platform as a role model, both within your company and outside your company, to help women and spread the gospel of women in technology? Perhaps I can invite Dr. Pan to share some comments.
Okay. As a female leader in the tech industry, conventionally considered as male-oriented, I truly believe that women are crucial to the future growth of the industry. Especially, I strongly believe that female have a special sense of sense to numbers and data. We are quite sensitive to data. We are quite sensitive to the business changes. So you can already see a lot of female leadership, female developer, software engineer, designer, all this play a very important role in tech industry, especially in data area. As we continue to see technology become an integrated part of today's digital economy, I strongly advise women who are interested in pursuing career in tech and data science to hone relevant skills, familiarize yourself with the latest technology and connect with and learn from female mentors in all this tech industry. So myself paid special attention to all the female team members in my team, and I understand that they have a lot of considerations on to balance their career and also their family commitments, and sometimes they just need some encourage, right, to consider themselves for the stronger career girls and to have strong belief on themselves that they can do as well, and at least as well as or even better than men. Yeah, and I also participated in a lot of activities that's organized by Shopee, and also some of this like coding event, specially designed for women, that encourage more girls and ladies to join the tech world. And these are all pretty exciting, and I can see more and more women actually like and enjoy the life in tech industry.
Thanks, Dr. Pan. I think we have maybe 2 more minutes left. Can I maybe invite also just quick points from Stephanie and then Serene on how to make the most of your status as a role model in technology? Stephanie?
Sure. Actually, I think being recognized as a role model, it actually strengthened my belief in, diversity and inclusion, in actually renew my commitment further to actually attract and grow, and mentor new generation of women in STEM. And also to recruit diversity advocate like yourself, Michael, to actually empower women in tech. Yeah. So actually, I think the reason is that when I was, entering into this technology field, I also actually have a mentor ahead of me and advocate before me. And they actually also nurture the relationship and the trust. And they all have a different traits and characteristic of a leadership, which is range from driving business result to, delighting customer, to strategic partnership and building network and, building staff and organization capability. And even more so, in difficult conversation and negotiations. So from all of these mentors and advocate, we learn, and it's also important, we need to understand that each one of us have our own personal leadership style. So we need to find our own style, being ourselves. We know that, okay, I can work very hard, but at the same time, I should also have fun. And we can agree to disagree. We should be open and respectful of different opinions. That is actually about inclusion. So I think those go along the way, when we are doing the mentoring. And sometimes I call it a reverse mentoring, because recently when I was doing Mentor Connect, there's a lot of moment of reverse mentoring when I can actually learn from the younger generations of women leaders, how they deal with a situation differently from mine. So I think that is something that it is quite meaningful. So I will encourage, all the women continue to do their networking, continue to actually identify different kind of mentor so that they can actually learn, and finding their own and be themselves as a role model.
Oh, that's great. That's a fantastic point around being authentic, and also the humility to also learn from your peers and others as well. Perhaps maybe Serene, I can invite you for some, your final thoughts on your role, being a good role model.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah, I think it's important for all of us to continue to embrace lifelong learning and accept change as a new normal. Yeah, and always identify skills for the future, and also tap on organizations that see how they can help women to future-proof their skills and jobs. So in Autodesk, we pride ourselves in being culturally very diversified organization. We also have a very strong bench of women leaders in the organization where women are given equal opportunity and consideration for leadership position. This is especially important as we continue to champion more female representation in the tech industry. So we also empower employees to initiate the ground-up movements like Autodesk Women's Network in APAC. Yeah, and the other point that I want to bring out is women need to come forward to support, to encourage other women, be their mentor, their advocates, and bring them along in the journey. Because then you heard someone that asked a question, yeah, women by far more than a man that always feel they are not good enough. Yeah, and they have this, to match a role, they feel it has to be 100% before they come forward. So which affects their confidence and ability to progress. I call this as imposter syndrome. Yeah, and this imposter syndrome doesn't equate with low self-esteem or a lack of self-confidence. In fact, some researchers have linked it with being too perfectionism. Yeah, especially in women. Yeah, women seems unable to internalize their achievements, however successful they are in their, in their field. So question is really, how do you shake it off, right, as a woman? So some common thoughts that always women feel associated with this kind of syndromes include like, I must not fail. Yeah. So if we can change this to more, instead of reframe the failure as a learning opportunity. Yeah. And the other part is be kind to yourself. Yeah. And rewrite your mental programs. Remember, you are entitled to make small mistakes occasionally and forgive yourself. Don't forget to reward yourself for getting the big things right. Yeah, and remind yourself, it is normal not to know everything. And I also agree with what Stephanie said, that networking is very important. So hone your networking skills. Yeah, networking skill, especially to prepare yourself better in the career. And networking, why it's important? It's not about who you know, but who knows you, right? And how do we get better at getting better? Focus on what we do. Yeah, and I believe these are a few things that can help us or can help the young women to start a career in tech.
Great. Thanks so much, Serene. We have many great questions, but I know we have our next speaker coming up. So it's I'd like to take this time to thank our panelists for sharing your experiences and insights with us. And please continue to look at some of the questions in the Q&A box, and I'm sure that we'll have continuing good discussions ahead. Let me wrap up the panel and invite Joanne to come on. Hi.
Hi, thanks Michael and panelists as well for the very engaging discussion. So next up we have a CEO conversation segment where we have invited Mr. Piyush Gupta, CEO of DBS Group, to share more about what DBS is doing for women in tech in Singapore. And he'll be joined by Prof. Annie Koh from the Singapore Management University. Hi, Prof. Annie.
Hi, good afternoon. And hello.
Hey, Annie, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks, Piyush. So sorry that we ran over slightly, but we'll make up for good time.
Actually, we shouldn't. We were having such a fascinating conversation. I was quite enthralled. I could have listened to it for the next 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. So now we jump straight into it. I think we have an amazing audience, 300 men and women connecting across different parts of the world. So there was one question which actually came from the Q&A earlier. I'm going to pick it up because it fits nicely into the introduction question for you, Piyush. There was a question that says, how do we convince male leaders that this is an urgent imperative to have more women in tech? But my question for you, Piyush, is why is doing more for the women in tech important for DBS? Let's get down to the chase. You are already doing a lot, and Minister Siman mentioned DBS specifically in her speech. So why is doing more for women in tech that important for DBS?
So Annie, first of all, let me tell you, we're not doing enough, not doing well enough. So as a general rule, we are a very women-friendly organization. We have, obviously, like many companies, more than half of our employees are women. But importantly, over 40% of our senior management, which is senior vice president and up, are women. That's not a bad percentage to have. In fact, of all our managing directors and management committee, well over a third of them are women. So we actually, I sometimes joke, my job is to look pretty, the women run the bank. Except, and this is the problem, if you look at our performance in tech, it's actually not good. On less than 25% of our engineers, in fact, the entire technology staff are women. Now, I realized this 2 or 3 years ago, and there's a history to that. We used to be principally outsourced. About 5 years ago, 2014, 2015, we started insourcing our technology talent. And from, call it a couple of hundred people, we are now 7,000 people. So in the last 5 years, as we started building out our technology talent at scale, we weren't able to get as many women as we would have liked into the function. And so when I reviewed it with my people, trying to figure out, what the problem was, because overall we're so women friendly, I realized that there is genuinely a problem. The pipeline is somewhat limited. And that goes back to an issue which might have come up earlier. Only about 30% of the students in STEM are women. And then I've seen some additional research which says that of all the women in STEM, another 30% of them don't want to join engineering and technology, right? So you're left with 70% of 30%, that's 20, 25%. Yep. And therefore, it is not that easy to find the kind of talent you're looking for. Now, that's not an excuse. I'm going to come back to that. But the reason why you need more women is actually quite obvious. First of all, as a general principle, I've always believed that half the talent in the world is women. And therefore, if you're not actively looking and making sure that half your people are women, you're just forsaking and giving up on a massive talent base. So it's nothing even to do with the fact that women think differently, women behave differently. It's just that this is such a fantastic, untapped, unfished pond of talent. Why would you not go there to bring talent in? I mean, it's there. You go and compete in the overstocked, on the understocked and overfished ponds. You should go and fish in the underfished ponds, right? It's just natural sense. Go to where the talent is abundant. The second issue, though, interestingly, I heard the comments of one of the speakers in the last section, and I sort of tend to agree. Even though we don't have so many women in tech, of my big lines of business, I've got a corporate, consumer, markets, etc. So each line of business has a technology leader. 3 of the 4 are women. Also, I find that in areas like data analytics, women have a natural tendency to be a lot more insightful about understanding data, connecting the dots, and doing it quite well. And therefore, I think apart from the fact that the talent pool is there, I think there's some kinds of opportunities and some kinds of roles in technology that women are particularly good for. So any company which has moved from waterfall to agile realizes that in agile, the power of bringing people together, bringing teams together, running squads, running 2-week sprints, co-locating and working and looking at horizontal journeys, not just vertical silos. These are the critical success factors. Well, guess what? In my experience, women do a really good job at shepherding and bringing people together and looking through these horizontal journeys and therefore the agile platforms. So I think there are really good compelling reasons to make a big effort to try and bring more women into the tech workforce.
Fantastic. So I hope that answers the question from one of our participants, So the imperative is that women will do a great job, the results do show. So the ambition is very strong, Piyush. Then how is DBS doing this? What measures do you put in place to turn the ambition into action? How do you grow the next generation of women leaders within your organization?
So, Annie, again, I'm going to start fast. First, start with basics. Since I came to this conclusion that there's just not enough women doing STEM and not enough women in the pipeline, we figured we'd start actually way outside the bank. And I heard, Sue Chu, who's one of our outstanding women leaders, our technology lead, she IMDA actually listed her in one of the top 100, technology leaders. She's come up with these 2 or 3 programs which we are very supportive of. She started early this year saying, let's start with the kids. And she started a program to teach coding to primary school kids. We brought in 40 kids in January to teach them some basic coding, design stuff and so on. And they were really excited. I mean, they loved the idea, they were enthused, they were energized. Unfortunately, COVID came in the way, so we've not been able to do that at scale. But so the first thing was, how do you go out into the external environment and see how you can touch society as a general? I did a focus group with some of our younger women technology talent some time ago. And I asked many of them, there's such few women in your cohort in school. Why did you go into technology? Half of them told me their role model was their mother. And it really resonated with me. One's mother was a science grad, one's mother was an engineering grad. So this idea of role modeling in life, I think, is important. So how do you go and create enough role models out there in the external space? Signaling is important. So, for me, not only Suchu, but the other 2 or 3 are line of business leaders. I encourage them to go out and put themselves out in the community and in society, because these role models of successful women in technology can really make a big impact. One of the things we did, for example, again, I think Suchu, somebody in the team came up with this. We're running a big technology program, and they call the program ADA. And, even though I'm generally quite well informed, the penny didn't drop immediately. So I said ADA stands for what? And of course, they named it after Ada Lovelace. And so this whole idea of trying to create symbolism and create, ideation and ideas inside this thing. So I think that's important. The second, though, in terms of our own recruitment, we came up with some specific ideas. So we run a program for tech talent. We started running in 2017 called Hack to Hire. So essentially using traditional hiring methods, we give these people an opportunity to do 8, 10, 12-hour hacks with DBS data and DBS solutions. And then we'd hire people. Unfortunately, we threw this open. We had 12,000 applications in India. We had also several thousand applications in Singapore. Guess how many women? 5%. And so it just tells you that people were not applying. So we changed it and we launched another version of this called, originally we were calling it Hacker in Her, but we changed the name to Hack to Hire Her. And that was only to allow women tech and engineers to hack for jobs in DBS. Now that made a big difference. We got several applications, I think scores of applications. Over 30% of the hiring we were able to do on the back of that was women. So that suddenly shifted the number of this thing. So that's one thing. We're looking at very focused hiring programs, targeting only at hiring women. We're going to launch another one, I think next week, which is our DBS Women in Tech program. We're looking to hire 50 women in all of these things, data, analytics, AI, machine learning, etc., etc. So one is this, you've got to, apart from creating role models and creating ideation, you got to focus on very specific hiring strategies. Internally, we do another thing. So we normally give our employees, referral bonuses. If you refer somebody to the bank and we hire somebody, we give you, some kind of award. We said, okay, if you can bring us women in tech, we give you twice the award, right? Just to create, again, focus and incentive construct around it, that we really want to look and try and hire women into the system. I think it's not just women who can be role models, though. I was going through my list of within technology. I mean, obviously, we have like 100 different jobs. The 2 areas where I would have imagined we'd have had the least women would have been most unconstructive from a gender standpoint were the ones where we had the most women. One was cybersecurity, and the other was infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is tech infrastructure, right? Is the hardware and the tech stuff. And cybersecurity, you sort of expect it to be, all the people are really trying to find the black hats and all the hackers and so on. I was really intrigued that in those 2 areas, we had almost 50% women. So I went to try and figure, what's driving it. And turns out that both areas are led by men who have made it a big agenda to go and make sure they get women in their area. And so because they're so focused, they're hiring women from grad schools, they're hiring women into the area, and they're giving them the training and the skill set. So I talked to a couple of those women and said, how did it feel? In fact, the first one in cybersecurity said I was the first woman in cybersecurity. Today, half of us are women. But to be able to actually encourage, but also teach and learn. So we did a lot of hands-on learning and hands-on teaching to get them comfortable to be able to operate in these kinds of disciplines. So across the spectrum, external, the hiring strategies, the onboarding strategies, and the learning strategies, I think all are important. But finally, you've got to make sure that the leadership owns the problem.
Yes. There was a question that says that about fishing in an unfished pond. I think you've answered that very nicely, Piyush. So I'm delighted with that remark. So, you know, we are running short of time, and I heard you loud and clear. You say, what is the role of the leader and the CEO running this initiative for having more women in tech? I'm going to start by saying not just yourself, Piyush, but how about all the other male leaders within the organization? So what is the role of both male and female leaders in pushing the envelope to get more women in tech? And, you know, how are you doing that in DBS?
Yeah, I think, Ari, like I said, I think it's a leadership imperative to find right talent. And that's true not just in technology, but across the board. I mean, this is one of your principal roles as a leader. How do you find the right talent pool to make sure you get the outcomes you need? And if you start with the premise and you hold your team and your leadership accountable for finding the right talent, then you have to push them to say, why would the right talent not have an equal representation of gender? Because that just means that you're not looking for the unfished, less fished pond, right? So you must have expectation. And you must have a set of KPIs for people to be driven to find and grow and groom talent. We have that at DBS. Everybody wants to try and do that. The second is to understand that you have to have degrees of flexibility, particularly with women. It's well known, I mean, it's a fact of life, that women do two jobs. You know, they'll come and work in the bank, but then unfortunately, the reality in our society is they will also go and do the mothering job. Yes. Especially when the kids are small and, you know, you got to get the kids to go and they got to figure the school. So this is reality. If you have to have the presence and the understanding to create flexibility around those situations. I've often said DBS has been great for women well before my time. And that is because DBS understood this one thing, that you have to let women off track and on track. And women will find reason and time to off track for periods of time. You got to make it easy for them to off track, but equally you got to help them back on track. And DBS does a good job. We keep in touch. We make sure we keep the job. We make sure we find the right job and so on. And all our male leaders are expected to do this as part of what we expect them to do as a matter of course. I actually am a big believer that I think the COVID situation and all the shift we've done in working from home could be a game changer. I think that was my belief, because it just allows people to figure and do these two jobs conveniently. You can work early morning, you can work at night, you can look after the kids in the day if you need to. I was stunned actually to see a McKinsey survey report which said that after COVID, they expect 1 in 4 women to actually leave the workforce. And I cannot get my mind around this. It seemed to me it would be easier for women to work as opposed to harder for women to work. So I'm not sure what I'm missing. But certainly within the DBS construct, we are pushing all our leaders, men and women equally, to make sure that we continue to focus on this. We like to believe we are a technology company offering financial services. And if you're going to do that, we need to have the best engineering talent, not just application, not just coding, project management, data analytics, running agile teams, cybersecurity, the whole shebang, UX, UI. And to get that kind of breadth of talent, we have to go out and embrace every kind of talent possibility, certainly the gender quotient.
Thank you very much, Piyush. I wish we had more time because I do see a couple of questions coming in. Can I just ask one final question? We are celebrating Women in Tech 1-year anniversary. If we were to have this conversation again next year, what do you hope to see happen?
Well, first of all, I hope to see in DBS that we've improved our own percentage of women.
Yes.
I'm really driving the process as hard as I can. But as a gender rule, again, I think one of the panelists said it well. I think technology actually creates really good opportunities and jobs for women. For some reason, women tend to be either scared of it or tend to believe it's not a good career opportunity. I think we've got to get and make sure that women make that mind shift. It is actually very good. It plays to the strengths of women. It is the jobs of the future. Data, analytics, putting things together, working with people, these are strengths women have. So to me, the big switch I want to try and get is there less to do with the organization. It is more to do with the social acceptance and realization that this is a fantastic career trajectory for women.
Thank you very much, Piyush. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you hear it from the horse's mouth. A great CEO because he believes that the ambition is critical, the action speaks for itself, and the alignment with the whole community and within the organization. So let's push the envelope and bring more women in tech on board. Thank you very much. Over to you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Piyush.
Thank you, Mr. Piyush and Prof. Annie. May I ask the both of you to stay on for a photo opportunity first?
Okay.
Okay, so on the count of 1, 2, 3, please look at your camera. 1, 2, 3. Give a thumbs up or something. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Annie and Mr. Piyush for the very engaging fireside chat. So, and thank you to everybody for joining us at the SG Women in Tech's Action for Impact webinar today. Should you be interested to find out more about the initiatives that the companies have shared, please feel free to reach out to us through our website and LinkedIn page. I believe SGInnovate has pasted the links at the chat function, so please do keep a lookout for it. And we are also very excited to share that, we have been working with various secondary school students on the Student Ask Series videos, which will be launched this Friday, 23rd October. So do keep a lookout for it on your social media platforms. And thank you once again, and have a great evening ahead.
What I really see in our SG Women in Tech is that common passion for technology, be it building new algorithms or new businesses. I think what they do exemplifies the kind of diverse sector that we're trying to build.
Building this community of Singapore women in tech has been one of the most exciting and fulfilling journeys over the past year. We are very, very happy to partner with many passionate individuals and committed companies who believe in the value of diversity, who want to bring more girls and women to find meaningful careers in the tech sector, and to create a supportive environment in Singapore.
I learned that coding is actually exciting. I feel like her enthusiasm really rubbed off on me.
The session was really interesting and it was really nice to get to know her better.
I don't get to meet people from other industry, especially as a student now. So I will take this opportunity as like one of the rare chances I get.
SG100 Women in Tech is a great initiative to celebrate the success, achievement, and contributions of women in technology sector. I'm certainly very honored to be one of the 100 along with other 99 amazing women.
What's truly exciting about a career in tech is that everything we do makes the world a better place because it's creating value, it's creating capabilities that makes life easier and that makes experiences much better for all of us in society. Congratulations on this amazing first anniversary milestone and more power to the second year.
It's such a wonderful experience being in this Mentor Connect program because you look at the energy and passion that comes through and you find that we learn from each other just like iron sharpens iron.
Being part of the Mentor Connect program has taught me to open up and network more. One of the sessions that really resonated with me was learning about the different styles of leadership and learning that not one size fits all. What's good for me may not necessarily be good for you. That really resonated.